Hi. Well, welcome. I am here with Sonya Halpern, and she is running to represent us in District 39.
Yes, State Senate
Yes.
District 39. Yes.
Yes. So for the House Senate seat. So talk to me a little bit about first, what inspired you to run for this seat?
So it's really interesting. So I'll say as kind of backdrop that I've been in the background and really have sat at the intersection of business, politics, and community service for the better part of the last 2 decades. So on the political side, I have been behind the scenes. I have raised money and profile for lots of candidates over the years from national, state, and local. And I've even been part of organizations, like I'm a co-founder of the Electing Women Alliance Atlanta chapter. I'm part of the Women's Leadership Forum of the DNC. I sit on the African American Leadership Council. I'm a member of that for the DNC as well. So I've had a lot of experience in politics, but all behind the scenes, and never thought that I would move out front and actually put my hat into the ring to be a candidate. So it's been an interesting process on how I got here, because literally 200 people could stand in front of you and say, I asked her if she would ever run and she told me no. And they would all be telling you the truth. I did not have political aspirations in that way.
Okay.
But what I've always had is a real kind of heart for the fact that it matters who's in leadership. And it matters what kind of policies are being put into law, because so much of our lives are shaped by policy, even though it seems so invisible. So I've known that already. And honestly, when COVID hit and everything kind of shut down, I started to really think more about just how important leadership is, and that how much it really does matter. And then when the governor sued the mayor of Atlanta and the city council, that was kind of a turning point for me, a bit in my mind, because even if you put politics to the side and even put health risk to the side, like there's real work that needs to be done.
Right.
And so like we need to focus on the actual work. So, and I had been, because of my community service work, I should say too, I understand the needs of the community. I have a lot of kind of leadership roles in different organizations, including the YMCA of Metro Atlanta. I've been part of the Habitat for Humanity in South Fulton years past. There's a number of different organizations that I'm really very closely attached to. So I understand the needs and how those organizations stand in the gap.
Yes.
And then I also really do understand the philanthropy. So there's not enough money in the world, as much as we are so lucky to live in an area where we've got corporations, foundations, and individuals who are willing to invest dollars into helping to solve those needs. At the end of the day, there's not enough money in the world to fix it.
Yes.
That can only happen with the stroke of a pen. And so, I don't know, Congressman Lewis passed away, and I didn't think of it, but the moment Nikema Williams got the nomination to replace his name on the ballot, I just was like, I'm running for her seat. I've lived in this district for the entire 22 years I've lived in Georgia. And so I got to business running. So now my kind of passion and purpose gets to meet, hopefully, policy. And I get to affect that kind of change down at the legislature.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because one of the amendments that we have on this new ballot is about waiving state and local sovereign immunity. And one of the things that has come up in discussions with my clients here in yoga is that the thought was that this sovereign immunity amendment was going to deal with some of the tragedies that we've seen with some law enforcement officials. So can you distinguish what this amendment really is about, so that when we go to the polls, we're much more informed?
Yeah. So, this amendment really deals with lawmakers as opposed to law enforcement.
Okay.
And I think that's a very important distinction because obviously, especially for our communities, we are, very much grieving around what's happening with law enforcement, and we are looking for some changes there. This particular amendment, where it waives sovereign immunity, actually fixes the flaw that then would, if we vote yes and it gets passed as a yes, it fixes the flaw and therefore would allow lawmakers to be held accountable.